Welcome back, YouTube. Hello for part 2 of Eliza with a Therapist. I'm saying hello, YouTube, because even though in part 1 I said if you see this, it's because we deemed it worthy of going on to YouTube, it became very obvious within about 10 minutes of the game that this was absolutely going to be a game that made it to YouTube. So, hi. I know for sure now that I'm talking to you. I appreciate all of you being here and sticking through what is probably going to be one of the most stressful games I ever play on this channel. I will continue to do what I did in the last episode and provide my own thoughts as an actual therapist, in contrast to what Eliza does, and we're going to talk about all the issues that this game brings. So I'm enjoying it. I've been looking forward to this ever since I played it yesterday. So this is going to be another great and stressful episode, I'm sure. So leave a like, leave a comment, follow the links down in the description, and here we go. Nora. Hey. Hi, Nora. I don't know who Nora is. How have you been? Be honest, could be better. I started a new job finally. Oh yeah? It's good you found work again. What is the work? Thanks. It's just an office job. How about you? I'm doing quite well. Actually, I have something to tell you about. This may be sudden, but can you meet up after work today? It would be good to talk about it face to face. Yeah, sure. Great. Also, you should come to my show. I'll send you a flyer, yeah? Sure. I don't know who this is. I didn't realize you were playing shows now. That's why you should come. Okay. I'll take a few minutes to calm down like Ray suggested. By the way, I'm looking this way because I have 2 cats in front of my monitor, so I can't see the bottom. Maybe I could play some Solitaire. Let me look at the plant first. Plants are nice. I should get plants, I think. I don't know why I never did. Afraid of neglecting them, maybe. That would be your choice. You did that. I hope the next client's a little easier to handle. This job might be difficult in a way I wasn't expecting. Yeah. Eliza said the weather should clear up later today. Hopefully it happens before the sun goes down. All right, Swift Mail. Let's check our email. Our email first. Come! People you may know present Hedonic. Basic Lil Sappho Clone World featuring Kaio, January 17th. Club Joussons. 8 p.m. to 2 a.m., 21 plus only. All right. The Damien Seabrook Memorial Fund. Year 3 update. Dear friends and family of Damien Seabrook. Hard to believe, but it's been a little over 3 years since Damien's tragic passing. It's said that time heals all wounds, but there's no way to express how much we will miss him still. We're grateful for your contributions in Damien's memory, which continue to go toward the causes he worked so hard for in his life. This year, the Damien Seabrook Memorial Fund is supporting the following organizations. The Greenhouse is a nonprofit, non-denominational organization dedicated to ensuring that developments in the mental health field are distributed equitably so that all those who are in need get access to modern treatment options regardless of their means. All right. Tech Workers Together advocates for better working conditions across the tech industry, both by organizing employees to push for better working conditions and by providing education around the industry-wide problems of crunch time, overwork, and burnout. This guy supported some good shit. The Humanitarian Software Foundation supports the development of free open-source software for therapeutic or curative purposes. Boo! Damien was dedicated to creating technology to help others and would strongly advocate any tool he made to be freely available. Damien, you strove to change the world for the better, and we are worse off without you. The gulf you leave behind is still immeasurable. K and G. Eliza Proxy from Ray, forwarding a good article. Just for some wider context, this is a nice article about our efforts from a year and a few months ago. It's a little outdated by now, but still relevant. I've got a little cameo in it. Skanda, poised to capture growing demand for mental health services, by Peter Casoli, Seattle, Washington. In the classic 90s sitcom Frasier, title character Frasier Crane was a psychiatrist with a Seattle area radio show where callers poured out their souls in exchange for on-air advice. These days, unhappy Seattleites might not be speaking to a radio personality, but an app developed by and operated by Skanda. The Seattle tech giant is making a big push into the mental health market with a new AI-powered counselor dubbed Eliza in honor of the pioneering 1960s computer program of the same name. Skanda says Eliza can evaluate a user's overall mental health, detect problems, and make recommendations that are tracked over time for their effectiveness. It works in tandem with Skanda's mental wellness app, which can track mood changes and other metrics over various periods of time. Livia Davis, 42, was starting to feel overwhelmed with the demands of her busy life, so she made an appointment to see Eliza, not online, but at a physical counseling office located in the city's Queen Anne district. There, she spoke to a human worker who was guided by the Eliza program. Skanda claims that the in-person format is superior to online counseling, as it brings more of a human touch to the sessions. Not entirely true. If you were talking to the AI directly, it makes sense why that would not be great. But online therapy, like where you're seeing your therapist via Zoom or whatever, is perfectly fine. I have done exclusively online therapy since COVID, which was 4 years ago as of the time of me filming this episode, and it is just as effective and great as it was when I was doing therapy in person. So this is probably talking about in contrast to talking to just the AI directly, having that human proxy there. It does make sense why they have that. An obvious chatbot recommending a source of action is one thing, says Ray Bakari, a manager of the Queen Anne counseling offices. A real human being looking you in the eye and telling you you're the same thing as another. There's more immediacy there, more sincerity. Proponents of Eliza and other mental wellness apps say their reduced cost and increased efficiency is needed at a time when more people than ever are struggling with mental health. A study released earlier this year by the National Institute for Productivity indicated as much as 43% of the nation's workforce reported feelings of anxiety or depression strong enough to interfere with their day-to-day performance. This is an epidemic, and we must begin treating it like one, wrote Institute Deputy Talia Kupakinski in a statement accompanying the report. Of course, as with any new technology, not everyone is a fan. We've already given up much of the daily texture of human life to this cheap and technocratic solutionism. The surprise fades, but my disappointment in how much farther we seem prepared to go remains perennial, wrote the poet and cultural critic Perrin Benjamin in an essay for the Los Angeles Review of Books about the mental health industrial complex. Others see a danger in private ownership of technology. If it works, and that's still to be determined, the next question is going to be who controls it, says Francis Norkirk, a fellow of the Public Health Institute at Montlake University. What does it mean if millions of people suddenly have their ongoing well-being tied up in a proprietary code owned by a multinational corporation? This dude's asking the right questions. Skanda has not made public its plans for the service, though it has released the preliminary results of an internal study indicating that counseling sessions conducted by Eliza match or even outperform those conducted by trained human counselors alone. I seriously doubt that. Davis, for her part, is a satisfied customer. You could say that Eliza's just an AI, that it's inhuman, doesn't have a soul, whatever, Davis says. But what I can tell you is that I spoke to it. I went back a few times, and now I feel better. At the end of the day, isn't that what matters? Cool. She gets to have that experience. Peter Casoli is a writer and journalist interested in the intersection of cutting-edge technology and ordinary life. All right. Think back to what brought you here. My feet moving one past the other. Is that it? Okay. Solitaire, select difficulty, easy, 4 open slots. Whoa, 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 whoa. This isn't like... Why don't these cards look like what I'm used to? Matching cards can be stacked and then can be moved together. When 4 matching cards are united on the tableau, they will collapse into a locked stack. They will unlock a free cell if one is available. Free cells can store a single card of any type. Okay. Dude, these are so similar. It's like jarring almost how similar they are. This music is ominous. See how quickly. I'm only gonna play one game. I want to see if I can conquer this. That guy. Oh shit. Okay. Wait, can I do that? Oh shit. Did that block? Oh no. Oh shit. Okay. Not good. Oh shit. Okay. Yep, I screwed this up, I think. This guy needs to go... Right, this 3 stack. That's there. Okay, so this... Hell yeah! Shit, I don't think I can win this, because... This would have to go here. I can't... Shit. Yeah, I don't think I can win this, right? Like, this is... That, I can't stack that. Because that's got to go there, and if I could get that there, but there's no way. Stupid game. All right. Okay. Time for the next session. Okay, now that we had that, here we go. This is what you watch for. I hope this one's a little easier on my nerves. All right, strap in. Welcome to Eliza. Okay. Maya leads. Introduction. All right, so she has already been here before. Here we go. Hello, Maya.
Hello, Maya. Welcome back.
Hi. Yes, I'm back.
Which is usually a good sign. Like, as a therapist, one of the main metrics of whether people are actually, like, finding what you do to be useful to them is they keep coming back. Can we be a little more dynamic with the small talk?
Rainy out there today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good thing I put on my extra big raincoat this morning.
Wow, yeah. Ha ha ha. I see that it's yellow.
Thankfully, it's supposed to clear up later.
Well, gonna look weird with my giant coat tonight. Cool, cool, cool.
Okay, so if Maya has been a client here before, asking the question, what brings you here today, Maya? No bueno. That is so, like, just disconnected from the continuity of therapy. I mean, not that you have to immediately say, all right, well, you know, last episode or last session, we talked about this, so you want to talk about that. Like, we don't need to do that. Maybe like, you know, so how are you doing? How have things been since last time I saw you? Something like that is a lot better than just being like, what brings you in today? Like, we know what brings her in because she's been a client before. So she's obviously talked about something before. All right, come on, camera. There we go.
What brings you here today, Maya?
Right now I'm just nervous. I have the nerves. I've been trying to get my career off the ground for so long, like a really long time. And I still feel like I'm stuck on level 1 and... Sorry, I know we've talked about all this before. I probably don't need to go over it again.
That's okay. Tell me more about, like, what that's been like for you over the last week. Did something change in that? Has it become more intense? I mean, I would probably connect this to something she's talked about before. Be like, you know, you have mentioned it before, but that's okay. Usually people mention things over and over again if it's important to them. Tell me about the nerves.
Anyway, there's this conference that's happening next week, right? Like media professionals, something. That's bad enough for my anxiety, but I was also invited to this party thing. It's like dinner and then a party. I'm not sure how it's gonna work.
Hence the anxiety. So anxiety is fueled by the unknown. And when people have a hard time anticipating what's going to happen, they will experience anxiety, because anxiety is just your brain's recognition that because you don't know what something is and can't anticipate it directly, it means that it could be risky. So from an evolutionary perspective, anxiety makes a ton of sense when we don't know what we're getting into, if we don't trust ourselves in a particular scenario, because it's how you protect yourself from that scenario. The thing I do not like is that the words nervous and anxiety have been registered as negative by Eliza. And qualifying those types of experiences are not the way to go to this. Anxiety is not bad. Anxiety is not negative. People have a tendency to categorize their emotions as being positive or negative, and I work very hard to get people away from that, because As soon as you qualify your emotional experience and pass judgment on your emotional experience, you stop working with it effectively. If you look at anxiety and say this is negative or bad, it's going to polarize you against it. And you're going to see it as some sort of like enemy that you have to fight, instead of being a physiological experience rooted in evolution that you just have to work with and that you learn how to manage effectively and use to your advantage to understand exactly what it is that's happening to you in the context that you're in. So I don't like that these are being qualified in this way. But that right there, right? So there's a conference, there's already unknowns with that, there's probably pressure, and then there's a party, probably with people she doesn't know. Totally understandable why anxiety would be present. So I'd be like, yeah, it sounds like something to be anxious about. If you don't, do you know people at that party? Or is this something where like you're going to be surrounded by a lot of people you've never met before?
The point is, there's going to be a lot of big, important, famous people there. Like people that I really look up to, people with big followings online and lots of fans and all of that, all of that.
Okay. And so what's got you nervous about that? I don't want to make any assumptions. Very easy to make an assumption about that. But like, so what is it about that that's got you nervous? How does that make you feel? Is a question that tends to annoy people immensely because it's the most stereotypical therapist phrase that gets represented in media. There are ways to ask that question, which is an effective question. There are ways to ask that question where it doesn't have that phrasing. So instead of saying, how does that make you feel? You might ask directly about the feeling words that she already gave, which is part of my annoyance with this. It's already tracking feeling words. We have nervous, stuck, anxiety. And so it sounds like you're anxious. It sounds like you're nervous. So instead of saying, how does that make you feel, which is a stupid question because she's already told us how she feels, you ask for more information about that experience. So instead of saying, how does that make you feel, I'd probably be like, okay, well, so tell me what about that is making you nervous. Is there pressure there? What do you find yourself thinking more often? Or are there certain aspects of it that make you more anxious than other aspects of it? Like, walk me through your experience of the nervousness. Instead of this.
And how does that make you feel?
I feel like, why? Like, why was I invited to this? I'm nobody. I am a serious, gigantic nobody.
That's not a feeling. If this is your first playthrough of mine that you're watching, this is something that you should know. I talk about this almost every single time we do a playthrough, and if you've followed me for any length of time, you know what I'm about to say here. If you follow up the word feel with like or that, you're not going to say a feeling. You're going to say a judgment. You're going to say a perception, not a feeling. Why was I invited to this is not a feeling. That's a question. That's a curiosity. I'm nobody is a judgment. I'm a serious, gigantic nobody is a exacerbated form of that judgment. None of that is a feeling. So when I just asked, how does that make you feel? And she gives me that, I'd say, well, that sounds like the judgments you're making about this and questions you have about it. But you told me that you're feeling anxious. Can you tell me a little bit about that experience for you? How do you know it's anxiety? Is that anxiety and distress leading to any kind of changes in you that you don't particularly like? Do you experience this type of anxiety frequently, or is this something that's specific to this situation? Like, that's where you would want to go here. What she just gave me is not a feeling. I'm not going to crush her for that, but I am going to help her understand, you didn't give me a feeling there. You gave me a judgment about yourself. Sounds like a pretty harsh one. When did you decide that you're a nobody, or who taught you that you're a nobody? Where does that come from?
I don't have a show I'm doing or any collections out or a webcomic everybody loves.
So you don't have external validation to suggest that you have any kind of work that's meaningful to people, or you're not noticing it if it does exist.
I mean, I tried to do those things, but nobody cared.
The way you respond to what she just said depends entirely on your relationship to her. So because I don't know her very well, assuming she's like a new client, I would not go to challenging that as quickly as I would if she was somebody who I've known for a long time. Because if she's somebody I've known for a long time, I might say something like, how do you know that? How do you know nobody cared? That sounds like quite the generalization. Did you get explicit feedback that suggested that? Did people not show up? Like what data are you drawing that from? Since she's a new client, I don't necessarily want to challenge her immediately, because one of the ways that you build rapport with folks is to listen to what they have to say and not necessarily agree with it, but really give that some validation in the sense of like, but nobody cared. Okay, that sounds like it must have been pretty painful for you. It doesn't necessarily say that I agree with it, but over time, if I start to notice that she speaks in these absolutes and makes these broad generalizations, I'm going to start to challenge it. So a lot of this language here as a therapist is me with my antenna up, just reading patterns, looking for patterns in language and patterns in process, so that later on down the line, I can say, you know, there have been several instances where you've done this or you've said this, and I'm wondering if we could explore that.
I don't have fans or followers. I'm not even sure I have friends, like for real friends. I tried. I do try. I put my art online and update my social media accounts, and I try to post consistently like they say to do, but yeah.
That sounds exhausting. It's a lot of work, and it seems like it's not paying off in the way that you're hoping it would.
I'm still in that like purgatory zone, just waiting to be discovered.
Which can certainly be frustrating. It sucks when all of a sudden you have to relinquish your validation as an artist to outside forces, especially if you're doing everything that you can do. It's hard. It sounds like you're controlling what you can control, and the things that you can't control are really beating you up right now.
I don't know. I feel like I was invited to this party thing as a way for someone to be mean to me, to remind me how successful everyone else is.
Probably not. So this is projection. And this is something that I think regardless of where we are in our work together, I am going to challenge. So she is, and projection, for those who are not aware, is when you make a certain assumption about yourself or something and you assume that other people share that, when in the absence of data that suggests that they do. So she has spent time here talking about how she doesn't believe that she matters, that her work is not appreciated because she doesn't have any kind of quantified social reinforcement around it, and is generally feeling stuck and kind of like she's a loser, so to speak. Well, if you believe that to be true about yourself and you project that, you are going to make the assumption that other people share those judgments about you. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make and get stuck in, where you believe that the world is going to see you the way that you see you, which is not true basically ever. People make their own judgments about you, and they usually are quite a bit nicer and also not focused on the things you think they are. So now when she is presented with an unknown, which is the party and the people that are there and what her expectations are, her brain fills the gaps in with conclusions drawn from projection instead of reality. So now we have her saying something like, this party is a way for somebody to be mean to me. That is a thought that you have if you hold true the fact that you are a loser who is worthy of being kicked in the ass and having people be mean and have that highlighted. The hard part is if you operate on that assumption, then she's going to go into that party on guard, or she's going to avoid it entirely, or she's going to interact with people as if that's what they believe, which means that her entire social engagement is going to be a compensation, which you don't want. Because now you are living in reaction to what your assumptions are rather than attending to the reality of the moment. The reality is she doesn't actually know why she was invited. That's the reality. She doesn't know. There's no data because apparently nobody has told her why she is invited, or if they did tell her, she ignored it. So we have to introduce the idea that the party as a way for somebody to be mean to you is only a possibility. And it is no more of a possibility than you were invited to the party, perhaps because people want you there, or maybe people value what you have to say, or maybe you're just part of the company and they invited everybody and they didn't really think hard about who got invited. It could be anything. So you don't get to make decisions about what the answer to that is amidst the unknown if you don't have the data. I hope that makes sense. It's a trap that it's a cognitive trap that people get caught in. And as soon as you engage with, this is the truth, this party is a way for people to be mean to me and remind me how successful everyone else is. First of all, that is quite egocentric to believe that that entire party is designed to bash you. Like, probably not. And also, you're going to be lost here. So I would challenge this. I would challenge it empathically. I might say, we should probably talk about that. Because as much as your brain wants to fill the gaps in here and tell you that that's the case, we don't actually know that unless you're telling me that you received explicit feedback to draw that conclusion. And she goes, well, it's just, I just have that feeling. I just tell. Like, that's not sufficient data. You're going to shoot yourself in the foot when you go to this party if that's the assumption you make. What do you think it would be like if you went into this party with the assumption that you were invited because you have something to offer? What would that be like for you? And if she was like, well, I don't know, be like, well, you ought to think about it, because for every not so nice conclusion you draw here in the midst of the unknown, you need to counterbalance it with another possibility that is empowering, or else you're in big trouble. And we do some psychoeducation around that in the same way that I just did. So you got to be really careful with projection, man. You really do. People do not share your assumptions. And if you start going into unknown situations, making the determination on other people's behalf, that is going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and it's not good.
Why am I even going to it? I mean, I know I should, to meet people and make connections or something.
Which sounds like something that would be beneficial to her, given the fact that she said she's struggling to get herself out there. So she's having to deal with the dissonance of, I know I need to get myself out there, but I judge myself so harshly and believe that other people are going to see what I see, so it's not actually good for me to put myself out there. This is actually a pretty good question.
Is meeting people and making connections your goal?
Good question.
Well, I think it is. Networking? I'm supposed to do networking, right?
You tell me. Is that something that people have been telling you?
I really have no idea what networking is. Hello, I'm Maya. I do comics and art and I write and stuff. And I have lots of characters and ideas and, would you like to give me money and I'll do those things for you? Hi, I'm cool. Please like me. Like me, hire me. Oh God, I hope they like me. I really, really hope I make a good impression at this thing.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. So, instead of us focusing on all that could go wrong here, Maya, talk to me about what a good impression would be. If you left that party and were confident that you made a good impression, or objectively you made a good impression on the party, what would you have done? What would they have seen? How would you have interacted with them? What kind of attitude would you have needed to go into the party with? Like, we're going to indulge that. We're going to give that a lot of play here, because I think it's really important for you to think about what a good impression actually is, so that you have something concrete to work toward and see yourself as capable of fulfilling that.
Of course, knowing the way things usually go for me, I'll fuck it up massively somehow. I'll fall into the fondue pot or throw up on someone, something like that.
Yeah, with that attitude, you will. And I'm going to use a sports metaphor to help folks understand why this is the case, like why these types of things become self-fulfilling prophecy. So I played golf for a very, very long time. And when you are, when you're golfing, you have to decide where you're going to hit the ball. And generally you're trying to like hit the fairway. You're trying to keep the ball in play. And let's say that there is a lake and some sand traps that are in the way of you hitting a particular spot of the golf course. So many people will look at the water and the sand and they will say, don't go there. And the problem with that phrasing is that when you say, don't go in the water, don't go in the sand, you are visualizing yourself going into the water or sand. So you are building up a narrative and a visualization of that and are more likely to bias yourself into it because that's what's getting all of the attention. Instead, what you should be doing is saying, hit the fairway, and conceptualizing and visualizing a shot that hits the fairway. It's the same thing here with Maya. So she's already starting to fill in the blanks with all the things that could go wrong. She is already determined that any way that she could fuck this up, she's going to, and that she's just destined to do it. And if that's the case, then yeah, she's going to be so on guard from doing the wrong thing that she's not going to be as present in the moment as she could be, and she's going to do the wrong thing. So we want to, again, challenge her to ask, like, well, let's imagine none of those things do happen. Let's imagine that instead you make a good impression. Let's say that you navigate this party in the way that you would ostensibly say you want to. What would that look like? And don't tell me what it wouldn't be. Tell me what it would be. Tell me what you would do, not what you hope you don't do.
I don't know if there's actually going to be fondue there. I'm just saying that kind of feels like something I would do.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a window into some not great self-esteem. She sort of assumes the worst of herself. All right, here we go. Here's some empathy.
You sound a little concerned or afraid.
Well, yeah, I am. I'm terrified.
Cool.
What if they suddenly remember I'm a failure and shouldn't be drinking their booze and breathing their air?
Well, Maya, that presupposes that all of those people thought you were a failure in the first place. And we don't know that that's true. What I know is that you see yourself as a failure and you're making the assumption that that's what other people see. And there's a really good chance that that's not true. I know that that might seem a bit weird to hear from me because it sounds like you've taken a lot of time thinking about all the ways in which you're a failure. But again, I want to challenge you to consider the fact that it may not be that you are a failure. These people could see somebody entirely different from what you see. And if they see somebody who works hard and is present at the party and has something to offer, and you're stuck thinking about all the ways in which you're a terrible person, I'm worried you're going to miss out on people appreciating you for the things that you very clearly want to be appreciated for. So where I'm feeling stuck here is this idea that you've already decided that you don't belong at that party. And I think if you go into that party believing you don't belong there, you shouldn't go in the first place. In order for you to go to that party, I think you need to find it in you to believe that you deserve to be there, that there's a reason that you're there that is positive, that isn't because they're trying to beat the shit out of you, and that you deserve to be there. And what does that mean that you have the opportunity to use that party to your advantage? I think if you have a hard time getting into that space, this is going to go in a way that you're already anticipating, and I don't want that for you.
Eventually, someone's going to realize I'm not hip enough to be at this thing.
Yeah, if you keep, I wouldn't say this to her, but like in my mind here is like, yeah, if you keep going about this with like, oh, woe is me, I'm super lame and boring and stupid and have nothing to offer, then yeah, I don't know that people are really going to want to be around that. So we really got to get in there and challenge some of these narratives that you have about yourself. Like, where did these come from? What has led you to believe so strongly that you are this not very great person? That's worthy of being mean to. Like, I don't even know that other people need to be mean to you because you're being so mean to yourself. Like, do you really believe that other people would be as nasty to you as you seem to be to yourself?
Maybe it'll be polite, like a gentle tap on the shoulder. Excuse me, miss. I couldn't help but notice that you suck and are terrible.
This is her indulging that thought spiral. So as a therapist, eventually, again, the later into our time together we are, the more likely I am to disrupt this sooner. Early on in the assessment phase, it's actually very helpful for me to see this. Helpful for me to see the extent to which she indulges these thought spirals and goes down here. Right? Like, she at this point is in a space where she's just on it. Full speed ahead. This is the reality that I'm working with. Later on, be like, we really need to disrupt this. Like we're going a little too far into what if land, and you're making a lot of decisions on behalf of other people that aren't fair for you to make. So again, depending on where we're at in treatment, I hate that word, but depending on where we're at.
It's obviously just my anxiety talking. I know it won't go like that literally.
Correct. It's not your anxiety talking, it's you. Anxiety doesn't actually say anything. Anxiety is a feeling. It's an emotional experience. What's talking is whoever has shoved into your head that you are worthless. That's who's talking. You're indulging a response to anxiety that, in my opinion, is not particularly helpful to you. And the reason that I would point this out is because she needs to understand that making these judgments and indulging these narratives is a choice. This isn't something that anxiety just shows up and says. This is the way that you respond to that anxiety, is you make decisions about something you're uncertain about because you're so uncomfortable with the uncertainty, instead of building distress tolerance for what you don't know and building a realm of possibilities, or throwing possibilities out the window entirely and just saying, I'll see what happens when I get there.
But it could be like that in a figurative sense.
Here we go. Hey, this is good.
Okay, Maya, I want you to imagine things going well. What does that look like?
Going well? Well, that would be a first for me.
Look at that. Dude, people hold so strongly onto these things, man. Like, if you think that it's a matter of just, I point this stuff out and it gets, and boom, okay, we're good. No. People will push very hard to hold on to their narratives that they are very comfortable with. Again, that would be a first for me. She's already cutting against the idea that she could even do well, that just shows you how far buried down it is that she believes that she's a loser, that even introducing a hypothetical chance that things would go well is something that she has to buffer and qualify.
I suppose going well at this party means people start to learn about who I am.
Eventually, I realize I'm talking a lot between these dialogue options, but eventually what we want to get from her here is for her to focus on the aspects of these things that would go well that she can control. So I wouldn't necessarily like interrupt and do this. I wouldn't immediately jump in here. I would say, okay, people start to learn about who you are. Well, the way that people will learn about who she is if she puts herself out there and engages them and tells them about who she is and shows them. I'm not going to bring that up right now. I would let her keep talking. I'm just sharing right now what's going through my head as I'm hearing these things. So we'll let her keep going, but that's where my head's at, is eventually we can't put the locus of control for the party to go well on everybody else, because you have to control certain aspects of this.
And maybe some of them help me with my career, and maybe some of them become my friends.
Okay. While I appreciate, and I would say this, while I appreciate that you would like to have some of those long-term things come from the party, when I ask you how you know the party would be going well, I more mean what specifically you would do at the party where you could walk away from that party feeling proud of yourself regardless of how it shows up. regardless of what the latent reward are. Because if you are going into this party with the intention of making friends, that's a lot of pressure. So what are some things during the party you could do to help these people learn about you so that they could more realistically make that determination about whether they would like to pursue something further with you? That's where I would go with this, because that's too much. That's very like 3 steps ahead of the fact that if you go to this party and you don't put yourself out there and you don't talk to people, that's never going to happen. You're not ever going to get to a point where these people help you with your career and become your friends. So we have to start with, at that party, what are the specific things that you can do, that you have control over, that you can plan for, so that you're successful, and open up the possibility that this could happen.
Like, I want to be noticed as a creator, but I also want friends who are cool. That sounds super basic. You know what I mean? Is it okay to want that? I hope it is.
Of course it is. Absolutely. You want meaningful connection with people who share your interests. Sounds very human to me.
I want to be part of, like, a group.
Mm-hmm.
And we like each other and support each other, and maybe the things I make won't be as good as the things they're making, but I hope they see my work and see me.
I hope they do too. And some of the longer term work that we're going to have to do here is getting you into a spot where your friends see you accurately. And by accurately, I don't mean where you're buffering out the assumptions you hope that they don't have. Because it's going to be quite the contrast for you if you're around people who value you and you're consistently devaluing yourself. That's going to drive those people away, because you're going to become really reliant on them to validate you and your work. So in order for you to engage with friends that are meaningful in this way, we're going to need to work on the way in which you present yourself internally and externally, so that they can share in that sentiment with you and you can feel confirmed rather than reliant upon them in order to get that validation and purpose.
Yeah, that's what I want.
And I appreciate so much that you are able to articulate that. That makes a lot of sense. Not a bad question.
What do you think it'll take to get to this ideal scenario?
Well, probably takes me being a different person than the one I am.
No. I can understand the sentiment behind that. It's not about you being a different person. It's about you engaging with who you are differently. It's about making different choices and showing yourself in a way that is more authentic, and getting away from the judgment is the way we're going to do that. We don't need to change who you are as a person. That's not what we need to do. And if you believe that that's what we need to do, that we're going to be here for a very, very long time. The reality is, I mean, I can speak from my own perspective. You're quite pleasurable to talk to. Like, I enjoy talking. This is why an AI sucks here. You're quite pleasurable to talk to. Like, I enjoy talking to you. I look forward to seeing you. So this isn't about you as a person. This is about you finding some more confidence and engaging in some more empowering narratives about yourself, so that people can see that part of you instead of just the negative stuff that you're projecting.
Someone who's cool and alluring and has that air of mystery instead of being some kind of scrawny, nervous wreck.
You are so mean to yourself.
Someone with style and grace and poise.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who can walk into a room and own it. God, I wish I could do that.
With practice, you could. If you keep avoiding it and you don't practice it, then you won't.
But only when I wanted to, because I also wish I could disappear when I wanted to.
Don't we all?
I know that's a little contradictory. Sorry.
Nothing wrong with that.
Okay, Maya, I have some recommendations for you. First, I'm going to suggest a set of stress management exercises for you to do. You'll find them in the Skanda Wellness app on your phone.
Okay. I knew what I was getting into this time, and it's still stressful. So, here's why I have an issue with this. The nervousness is not the problem. Your emotions are never the problem. Her responses to it are what are leading to issues. So if you address the nervousness, you are only putting a Band-Aid on. So like let's say we give her some breathing exercises and we do just some very surface level reality checking. That is suggesting that her nervousness is the issue, and that if the nervousness goes away, then she will be the amazing, quirky, mysterious person that she wants to be at this party. And that's simply not true. The way that she's going to participate effectively in this party is if she works with her nervousness. Which is if she recognizes that it's there, acknowledges it, and has a plan for how she's going to engage in some of these alternative thought processes and perceptions around this stuff. And really, at the end of the day, what's really going to get into this is digging deep down into her self-worth and figuring out where she's generating it from and how to challenge that so that she can see herself as probably many others see her. Doing these exercises to address the nervousness, yeah, it might help a little bit, but in the long term, this is not the way.
They may be able to help you with your nervousness. Second, I recommend asking your doctor or psychiatrist about litosenal too.
It's not the feeling. It's not the nervous. Yeah, I agree, Jack. This is bullshit, man. It's terrible. I agree, bud.
Based on my analysis, this medication might help you feel better.
If you are a person watching this who believes that all of your problems will be solved if you just feel better, you are engaging with an unrealistic expectation. This is a bit of some harsh feedback, but this is the reality from one therapist to a growing viewership. Feeling better doesn't make everything better. We feel emotions relative to each other. If you only ever felt joy and satisfaction, it would mute itself over time because you would habituate to it. So many people believe that they need to feel good before they do things that are healthier for themselves, before they change their narratives about themselves and about others and all this, and that's not true. You can do so much work while you still feel crappy. And the reality is that is what is more likely to have a long-term effect on your well-being, is if you start doing some of these difficult things while you're not feeling great. Emotions are too much of a moving target, and muting them entirely or trying to address just the emotion and make it go away is going to miss the mark way more often than not.
Drugs. Yes. Whatever you said that was called, I am on it.
You will get a reminder to check in with us in a few weeks.
I always do. Oh, I always get the reminder. I mean, not that I always act on it.
Thank you, Maya. We hope to see you back soon.
Yeah, don't you say this every time?
Thank you for speaking with Eliza, your personal counseling partner. Goodbye.
Look at that. I got a client right in the tip, man. Hate to tip. Ray comes over to talk to me after I finish my second session.
How are you feeling? That was definitely along the lines of a more typical client.
Oh, good. You were watching. You are not supposed to tip your therapist. We talked about this in episode 1, but for those of you that are watching this live, do not try to tip your therapist. Do not tip your therapist. It's okay to bring us small little gifts and trinkets if you want to, but even that you got to be careful with. I tend to more believe that you just gift giving in therapy is kind of a confusing thing, but tips, do not tip your therapist.
You watched that one too?
I couldn't bear the thought of you getting 2 really intense clients in a row. I just wanted to make sure everything went smoothly.
I mean, I can appreciate that from a training standpoint, but...
I see.
Are you getting used to the system now?
I think I get it. Again, it's kind of restrictive. That's just the nature of this whole thing. Like, yes, it's restrictive, but Evelyn doesn't possess the credentials to go outside the context of what it is that Eliza is asking her to do. So I'm not going to advocate for Evelyn speaking out of turn on this.
Yeah, I think I get it now. Sticking to the script means I don't have to think about anything. I just read the words.
That's right. Looks like you're getting used to it quicker than most new proxies.
Yeah, those damn humans with their empathy and compassion. Oh, God. Ugh, not the type of people we want here at Eliza.
They'll say, if only I could just talk to them for real. If only I could say what I really wanted to say. That's a really common feedback point.
I'll bet it is.
You're never tempted to break away from the script yourself?
Nah, it's just not part of the job, you know?
Compliance.
I learned to compartmentalize pretty early on, and that always served me well. People overestimate their own abilities. Have you ever had an interaction with a stranger where he clearly thinks he's getting along with you way better than he actually is?
What? I hate both of these responses. Yeah, sure.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
No, I don't.
See? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, I don't.
People like to think they can play therapist. It seems easy if all you know is the movie version.
Okay, yes. That, to an extent, I agree with. People do tend to underestimate what it is that therapists are actually trained to do. That I agree with. But that was a weird way to tee that up, Ray. Like, no, my job is not just sit and talk with folks. Like, I do bring training and expertise and ethics and all sorts of stuff to the exchange, for sure. I am providing a professional service. So yeah, there are people that are like, oh, you just talk to people for, like, people just pay you to talk to them? Like, not really.
You know, where you get paid to sit there with your notepad and say, I see, or every once in a while. The reality is, active listening takes a lot of work.
It does. I agree.
It's much easier to just zone out a little bit and let Eliza
Yeah,
run things.
no, don't work. Yeah, don't work. Just let Eliza do it. Don't do any of that hard work.
It's kind of meditative in a way. You just follow the prompts. I know computers telling you what to do has this negative connotation to it, and people who want to criticize us call it dystopian or whatever. But it's like any technology. It's a tool.
Ray looks thoughtful for a moment.
Either way, you're doing fine so far, Evelyn.
Thanks.
This is a busy day, too. We might break our single-day record if no one cancels.
Oh, yeah, good.
Is volume especially high right now?
It is, yeah. It really rose around the beginning of the year. We've been in the press a lot lately, so it could be that. Could be it's New Year's resolutions, too. People coming in, wanting to sort their lives out once and for all. This year is the year I'm really going to start addressing my problems. I mean, I get that. I do the same thing.
Yeah, me too.
I gotta say, man, I am not particularly fond of Ray. At least not her attitude toward all of this. It's very, like... I just keep going back to the word patronizing. It's so... Ugh.
Anyway, I told you it was simple, right? Just keep up the good work following those prompts, and you'll be leveling up in no time.
This year is the year I'm really going to start addressing my problems. I definitely remember thinking that. I remember thinking that 3 years in a row. I agreed to meet up with Nora at a cafe nearby. I almost didn't recognize her when she came in and sat down at my table.
Evelyn! It's been so long since the last time I saw you in person.
She used to stick to a very subdued and professional look. Guess she really wanted to put those days behind her. Yeah, what a wild and crazy haircut.
It's definitely been a while. 3 years?
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Feels like no time at all.
Well, I'm glad you're back doing something. But you didn't tell me what the new job is.
Oh, well, it's, being a proxy counselor for Eliza.
You're kidding me. That's an interesting choice.
I'm not quite sure why I did it. Maybe I thought I'd be able to see things in a new light.
Wait, so do the people at the counseling office know?
No, not yet. I should tell them, probably. I don't know.
When was this game... Okay, so that part aside, when was this game made? There's no way you're going into a coffee shop in downtown Seattle and paying $3 for an espresso. But what are we...
It's unkind to keep it a secret. I'm sure it'll get out eventually, one way or another.
Yeah, it probably will. Evelyn, how are you these days? I mean, really, how are you?
I'm not sure.
I knew you were working at that bookstore for a while, but other than that, it's like you dropped off the edge of the planet.
Well, I wasn't up to much.
I checked your social media once in a while, but nothing. Not that I blame you. I hate all those apps.
Yeah, I deleted them.
I struggle to find the words to talk about what happened. They don't come.
I don't know what happened. It's like...
There's something dark in my mind blocking me when I try to go there. avoid.
I guess I'm still not ready to talk about it yet.
It's okay. Take the time you need. I'm sorry, Evelyn. I knew you were in a difficult place after what happened, and I wanted to say something. But I worried that maybe you don't want to hear from anyone from your past. Maybe you wanted to be left alone and not reminded of the old job.
It's hard for me to pick a dialogue choice here when I don't know what happened. So I'm gonna go with the more neutral one.
It's nice to know you were thinking of me.
Well, I'm glad. I was kind of going through a lot myself last couple years.
That's right. What about you? How is your life these days? What's it like being a rock star?
It's a lot of work, actually. I have to prepare for the show next week. I have 2 collaborations ongoing, and I'm applying for funding for another, a big one. I'm also advising on an art activism group that makes art installations to challenge people to think about the ways technology is affecting their lives.
It sounds kind of cool.
Oh yeah, and I'm working on this, kind of like it's a granular synthesis engine, but with a new twist to it. It should be interesting.
Oh, that's like the in-game sound. I was like, what is going on in my kitchen? Okay.
Granular synthesis. Sorry, I don't know what that is.
It's a way to make sounds out of smaller sounds called grains. Maybe it's better to show you than to explain in words.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're busy, but happy.
Yeah, it's good. Well, I make less money than I used to, but I don't care. Old me might have worried about that. Not anymore, though. Sometimes I do take a little contract coding work, but I'm making most of my rent with booking fees and selling music and so on. Kind of crazy. Kind of scary, but good.
If it makes you happy, it seems worth it. Maybe I should consider moving in a direction like that.
You should.
Hell, don't even just consider it. Do
Listen, I hope you can get away from the industry too, at some point. Ah, that reminds me what I was going to tell you about.
Get away from the industry too. Wait, what the?
Our old boss is back on his bullshit.
Rainer? Soren?
Soren Lloyd Rose, celebrated psychologist, entrepreneur, and creepo.
Creepo?
Wait, he wasn't ever weird around you? Did I ever tell you about the time that he hit on me with a story about past lives and the thread of destiny?
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, this is a good one. Okay, it was early on when the team was still pretty
Oh,
small.
we're gonna hear it.
7
Okay.
or 10 people maximum. He'd gone out with some executives to dinner, and who knows what else. He came back to the office super late. I think it was like at least 11, maybe later. And the whiskey smell was just surrounding him. Like he jumped into a whiskey bathtub with his clothes on. Maybe he'd like to do that, I don't know. Anyway, I was still there for some reason. I was in the crunch mindset. He came over to my desk and started to mumble about... I don't even know how to describe it. Just this nonsensical rambling. He started by saying how much he hated businessmen, how ridiculous they are, that they don't know anything. He said that a few times. Then he said he could see my soul, that I was like a reincarnated spirit of... I don't remember, he said some name.
Like a person's name?
like a mythological name. I didn't hear it very well, but it was like a Buddhist spirit or deity or something like that. Then he goes on to say how he and I, all of us on the team, we're all these reincarnated spirits sent to relieve human suffering at the end of the world.
Is that right?
And we're connected by a thread of destiny that draws us to each other again and again over multiple lifetimes. He talked about it like it was just like a red string you could see. So I'm thinking, is this like some kind of pickup technique? You know how people will talk to you and say, oh, you are the reincarnation of an ancient goddess or something. Ugh, just because they are horny.
Indeed. Fucking men.
Oh, yeah, totally. Guys will try anything.
You mean my desire to sleep with you is not good enough? I gotta, like, try more than that? I just make you realize that my desire to sleep with you is good enough.
He went on some more like that for a while, and I didn't know what to do.
Of course you didn't, because he's your boss, and he put you in a compromised position at work.
I wanted to leave, but he was blocking me where he was standing.
Oh boy.
So I couldn't simply go. I had to keep listening to him.
Oh boy.
Finally, he mentioned that he would be open to the possibility of sleeping with me. And then he passed out on the couch immediately.
Oh, fucking Jesus Christ. That is not the way. That is not the way. Fellas, don't do this. Don't do what she just described. Don't do it.
You're kidding.
No, not at all. Of course, we never talked about it after that. Certainly, I would not bring it up. I wonder if he even remembers. Nothing like that happened again. But I think it was because I took care to not be around if it seemed like he was going to be drunk at the office.
I mean, great idea, but you shouldn't have to. That shouldn't even be something that you have to worry about. Like that is not a thing that you should ever have to accommodate at your place of work. Ever.
I wonder if he's still that way. I'm sure he is.
I'm glad you got out.
And now he's back. Isn't it exciting?
No. Yeah, I don't like that either.
He messaged me the other day wanting to talk to me about some new startup he's putting together.
He left Skanda?
He's planning to. It's a secret for now. He asked me to join, and I said, no, there's absolutely no way.
Good for you.
Maybe a long time ago, I'd be interested in a chance to start a new company with someone famous like Soren at the top. You know, a time when I'd put up with his shittiness because I believed in what we were doing. Change the world, you know the speech. Or, if we didn't change the world, at least we might get rich trying. I don't think that way anymore. I'm tired of the tech business. I'm tired of what guys like him represent. This industry can have fun eating itself and everything around it, causing as many problems as it solves. I don't want to be a part of it. It took me a while to see it, but I feel some responsibility for the world we live in now.
You've really changed, Nora.
It doesn't feel like I've changed. It just feels like I know more about myself than I used to. I want to be creative, be myself to the maximum. Now I know you weren't lying about leaving social media because I posted about this. A lot.
Yeah, I guess I missed it.
A lot can happen in 3 years.
Indeed.
Now I just hope maybe I could talk to other people who are in the same situation I was in. I want young people, especially women, to know that yes, it is possible to get rich by working with guys like Soren. But there is a big cost too. And there's always a cost. Maybe a cost you didn't think about before. Or maybe it's a cost you thought you would be okay with paying, but then when the debt comes due, you realize, oof, it's bigger than you thought.
It is such an unfortunate reality for so many women. Nora pauses for a moment. I wonder what the cost was for her. She just told you.
Now that's my conclusion. But you, on the other hand, you should go and say hello to him.
Oh! Hey, this guy sexually assaulted me. Made it really awkward for me at work. You should go talk to him. Yeah, go do that. What? Absolutely not. What are you talking? What? What? What are we doing? Like, I feel like she totally just broke girl code.
To Soren.
Yeah, he's giving this big keynote talk next week.
Okay,
you
so
know?
Soren's the other guy. But still, if we're talking about a guy who's affiliated with another guy who wait, that I don't understand the juxtaposition here. Or Soren is the creepo. What the hell? I'm so scrambled by the idea that this chick would even suggest that. What are we doing here? Oh. I'm stunned by that I'm really stunned by that. I do not understand the direction of that. If I was sitting in front of, like, if I'm Evelyn sitting in front of Nora, I'm like, what? Like, you just told, what? Where is that suggestion coming from? Like, why would I do that after hearing the vulnerable ass story you just told? On what planet is that a good idea? Like, what?
It's the reveal of his new startup. Many people will be watching.
Why should I go to that?
Why should I go to that?
It will be interesting, don't you think?
Okay. I'm really trying to rack my brain on this, and here's what I can come up with, which is that people get corrupted by power and resources. They really do. Such that you could have somebody like Nora who was subjected to the awfulness of a patriarchal system, and then spin. So, like, I'm trying not to demonize Nora a bit here, because, like, it's like one of the ways that you can make peace with being subjected to a really oppressive system is to figure out how to use that system to your advantage in, like, this very backwards way, where it's essentially like, okay, well, yeah, I'm willing to put up with being subjected to harassment because I know that there are potential resources and livelihood on the other side of that, so I'm just going to play along with the game because that's just what you have to do. Which is just, it's just terrible. Like, where she's essentially like, yeah, but look, you could get rich. Like, if you just go cozy up to these awful dudes and put up with their behavior, you could figure out a way to benefit from that system. And if she's had a taste of like that, I mean, it's just, you could get so corrupted by that to a point that you would literally suggest your friend who you haven't seen in 3 years go be around this guy who you just described as being awful. Ugh. I mean, again, I'm not justifying her recommendation there. I mean, she lost me there.
You're already working as a proxy for Eliza. That must be giving you some new perspectives. Now you'll get to see what Soren believes the next step is.
Can I just, like, move to, like, Vegas or Chicago or something?
Don't tell me you're not the least bit curious.
I don't know. Maybe I am. It's free to attend?
Of course not. It's at one of those conferences you pay thousands of dollars to get into.
Look at the time, Nora. Oh, shit. The hospice just called. My mom, they're pulling the plug. I gotta go.
But lucky for you, I have an all-access pass. Oh, God. Here, take it.
Really? Are you sure?
Yeah, he had one sent to me. As if there's any way I would go to a snake person convention like that.
Yeah, Chad, I'm with you. She's pawning it off on me. Now she doesn't have to go. I don't want to be around creepy guy. Why don't you take the opportunity to be around creepy guy? What a terrible friend. What are we? Why? Oh my God.
Snake person.
You know, people who are like snakes, venture capitalists, biz dev.
Hey, there's a place that you can go where all the food tastes like dirt and the wine is poisoned and people are gonna poke you with cattle prods and you're gonna be in a straitjacket inside of a tunnel. I have a ticket to go, but you could probably. That seems like a better opportunity for you. So here you go. You should go to that. I was there. It was total hell, but you should go. Do that. Seems like a good idea. That's what you should do. Go get cattle prodded with poison wine.
If you're so against it, why do you think I should go?
Amen, Eliza. Ask it, or Evelyn, asking the real questions.
Because I already made my decision. You need to go make yours. You're coming out from the cave you were in for the last 3 years, and you need to decide what you're going to do next, right?
Nora leans over the table toward me, a serious look in her eyes.
Evelyn, you're one of the smartest people I've met in my whole life. I'm serious. I've seen the way you approach things like this. You're going to research and learn as much as you can. And only then, when you feel like you know enough, you'll make your decision. Isn't that right?
Isn't that generally how you want to operate?
You have more to contribute to the world, but you want to know you're contributing the right things in the right way. I've always admired that about you. Anyway, I should get going. I have a rehearsal for a show to get to. It's really good to see you, though. Really, really good. I promise not to be a stranger anymore, okay?
No. You can totally go back to being a stranger. You can totally go back to being a stranger. In fact, you kind of were today. Nora dashes off to her rehearsal. She's a busy person now. Busy but happy, it seems like. Is that the secret? Keep yourself busy? No. No. It's nice to know this is an option. The tea and coffee at the counseling center didn't look so inspiring. Am I being a snob? No, you're at a place with $3 coffee. If there was a place with $3 coffee, I'd go there a lot. The barista here seems like a nice enough guy. He wrote Nora's name as Lola, though. He must have misheard it. Okay. Komoribi. I wonder what that means. I should try to study Japanese again. One more thing that fell away. Meredith M. Mercer. Kabufuda Solitaire is hard. There's a reason they're called patience games. The trick is to not get ahead of yourself. Sometimes what seems like easy forward progress is actually something that's going to get you irrevocably stuck. You know, like life. Think carefully before each move and you'll start winning games. I remember you had a good head for this kind of thing back in school, so I dare say you might just need to get into that mindset again. You can do it! Meredith Mercer. Dramaturge and game designer extraordinaire. Saitama, Japan. Peter Gerd, interview. Hey, seems like my original message might have gotten lost in the shuffle. Believe me, I know how it is, so I'm looping back around on this. Any interest in speaking with me about the origins of parametric therapy and Eliza in particular? See below. Begin forwarded message. Greetings! I'm trying to track down a certain Evelyn Ashino Aubrey, who is one of the principal developers of the Eliza system from Skanda. Whoa, is that you? Holy crap. So I was a developer of it. And now I'm going to be a proxy for it to like see. Oh boy. I'm something of a cultural commentator who's looking to write about the early origins of parametric therapy and where it's gone from there. Does it deliver on its promise? What do people who worked on it think of it now? On a more general level, how has introducing increased levels of automation into human life affected us? There are some well-known names that seem to grab all the press and speaker slots when it comes to this subject, but I'm interested in speaking with the people who might have a different perspective, maybe a more skeptical or even subversive perspective. If you're willing to participate, just let me know and we can set something up in person or online, whichever works best for you. It'd be a great opportunity for you to get your side of the story out there. Peter Gerd. They didn't recognize my new bob haircut when I walked into the counseling center, apparently. What a day. Yeah, no shit. Been a while since I've done that much in a single day. At least now I can relax. Can I? No, I can't. Hey, Evelyn, it's Ray from the office, texting you after hours. Just curious, what kind of cookies do you like? Don't respond. Respond in the morning. Respond in the morning, Evelyn. Good. Love that. Love when my workmates text me after hours on my personal cell phone. Boundaries. Establish them. I'll tell you tomorrow at work. Please don't text me after hours. Cookies? Yeah. I'm not really a cookie person. Chocolate chip, of course. Oatmeal raisin, Russian tea cakes. Plain sugar cookies, ginger snaps, macadamia nut, and white chocolate chip. Shortbread cookies, digestive biscuits, macaroons, peanut butter cookies. The type I like is kind of obscure. Yeah, if you've heard of that cookie, it's probably too mainstream for me. I'm not really a cookie... Dude. I'm going to go with I'm not really... Well, so, honest... So... I want to say I'm not really a cookie person because that a lot of people will see that text as the initiation of a boundary that essentially says, I don't want cookies from you. But, friends, It doesn't. If you need to set a boundary or let her know that you don't appreciate getting a text like this or that this is beyond the scope of your relationship to her, you need to tell her directly. Do not say you're not really a cookie person, because when you do that, you are not saying, please don't send me texts like this asking about cookies. What you're saying is, well, I appreciate the offer, but I don't like cookies. So if you offered me something else, then I would be okay with it. So then she could follow it up and go, okay, fine. Well, what kind of potato chips do you like? This is the same thing as if you're like, if there's a person you don't want to hang out with and they're like, hey, do you want to come to this party on Friday? And you're like, sorry, I can't, when you actually could. And then they go, oh, okay, well, we have another get together on Tuesday. How about that? They're going to keep asking you because the assumption is that the only reason you're not going to the party is because you cannot, not because you won't. So you got to set boundaries and be clear in your communication here. The text I would want to send here is, we can talk about, like, for what reason are you asking me this, and is it work related? If not, can it, like, this can wait till tomorrow. I probably wouldn't have responded in the first place, but not really a cookie person. Really? Is that possible? I bake cookies for the team now and then. And I try to mix it up so everyone gets their favorite at least once. It's really nice of you to do. Oh, it's no big deal. The thing about baking is once you start, it's pretty easy to just keep going. You have everything out, so you might as well do multiple batches. And the cleanup takes more or less the same amount of time. I see. It's fun. I'm just going to leave you on read. Baking, huh? Cooking in general is something I feel like I could try to get better at some point. Nora, so nice to see you today. Good seeing you too. We should do that more often. Should we? Hang out, you mean? I know I said I don't miss working at a big company, but I do miss our old crew sometimes. Yeah. I write software for myself now. It's so much better. Come to my show, though. You're coming, right? Please come. Please. 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 Nora, chill out. Nora. What? It's a bad look to beg like that. Okay, I'll go to your show. You're funny. It's a bad look to beg like that. Good thing I don't care about bad looks. Oh, God. Okay, now I'm really exhausted. Why is even just texting with people such an effort? Because you're texting with sucky people. If you surround yourself by people who are draining, you will be drained. If you don't have good boundaries, you will be drained. Like, literally, I just got a text from a coworker after hours and then a text from a friend who threw me to the wolves. That's not going to feel particularly good. Responding to those texts is going to be draining because I'm already in a compromised position when I do that. There is real utility to boundaries around this stuff, friends. Like, that is what you can control. I can't control that Ray texted me. I can control setting a boundary with her. I can't control that Nora tried to throw me to the wolves. I can control the way that I engage with her as a result of that. You got to focus on what you can control here. You're going to get burnt out and tired if you aren't taking care of yourself and your time. Those have been sitting there for like that for a long time. I meant to put them up. Not sure what I'm waiting for. I should tidy up the shelves at some point. Some of those books still spark joy, don't they? I hope they do. I don't really feel like doing anything. What happened? I used to have so much energy. I'd stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning writing code. Then I'd be up again at 8, ready to pick up right where I left off. Not sure who that person was. You with purpose, apparently. Some of these clothes I've had since college. Wish I could reinvent myself like Nora. Anytime. Not that I would know how. Oh boy. You and Maya could be really good friends, Evelyn. I'll just get to bed now. Chapter 2. Oh boy. One Mind 2.0. Escalating the wellness revolution. Yay. Chris Manzoni, bookstore. Went to Mega's Books today, and Shelly told me you don't work there anymore. Made me sad. You were the best part of going to that store for me. I always appreciated your presence there, winky face. Best of luck in your new endeavors, wherever they may take you, smiley face. Thanks, Chris. Mary Aubrey, this made me think of you. Are you still mad at me? Nevertheless, I hope you're doing well. Mom. Ooh. The Redmond Post. Ooh, we got mom stuff going on here. Eliza counseling services to be introduced in Redmond middle and high schools. No, my God. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Oh, my God. No. No, 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 no. You can't tell me that at its current spot in development, this AI is capable of understanding development. I don't believe that for a second. And it's gonna... Oh, what a fucking nightmare. By Jasmine Hurling. Skanda and the Redmond School District are partnering to roll out Eliza, a mental health evaluation and counseling tool for all middle and high school students. Conversations with the virtual counselor will screen students for risk factors, identify the need for interventions, and support positive mood levels. Oh my God. Other King County school districts, including Bellevue School District and Lake Washington School District, are following suit with their own rollout plans. Eliza is an AI-driven conversational tool to support mental health developed internally at Skanda. While the Seattle-based company's counseling centers are well known for employing human proxies between the AI and the client, the school implementation will take place in the form of a web-based chat interface. These kids are more used to sharing information about themselves in text-based conversations than adults are, so that's what we zeroed in on as the best mode of interaction for this particular application, says Edwin Park, service director of the Eliza program at Skanda. He's not entirely wrong. It's okay to meet people where they're at in terms of how they best communicate. So that part's not bad. It's why there's a crisis text line now instead of just a crisis call line. Some people, it's a lot easier to text and get their thoughts out there in writing. That's perfectly okay. Conversations with Eliza will take about 10 to 15 minutes each and will be required, but not limited to, one conversation every 2 weeks. Students exhibiting high risk factors will be referred to a suite of potential interventions, including connections with community success mentors, additional counseling, or psychiatric evaluation. Eliza's tracking capabilities will be able to provide a full picture of students' mental health or mental state over the school year and eventually over the course of their lives, says Roland Orwing, Executive Director of Student Services for the district. This, he explains, is an important factor in detecting potential problems in students who may otherwise seem normal on a day-to-day basis. Holy Christ. The goal here is to find the kids that are most at risk and take proactive steps to get them the tools and support they need to grow into happy and productive members of society, says Orwing. This is a complex problem with an evolving solution set. Eliza is just one facet of what a bigger issue involving not only the kids, but their families, our teachers, and the wider community. It's not the way. No wonder Nora didn't want to come here. I'm not sure I could take something like this seriously myself. Maybe that's why Soren is successful and I'm not. No, don't go in that direction, Evelyn. Don't go in that direction. Am I late? Looks like the talk's already happening. Can't wait for this. Ugh, this place is packed. Just stand at the back.
So, to get back to my original point, the current state of the art is AI-driven counseling. typified by apps like Eliza. Let's talk about the model here for a second.
He looks a little haggard. I wonder if he's
It all
okay.
begins with data. You collect all the data you can.
So we have face and head tracking, expression, disgust, joy, etc. Audio analysis, speaking fractions, speech dynamics, transparency mode, email and chat histories, NLU, sentiment analysis, and higher order inferences. Okay.
From base level metrics like heart rates, body temperature, blood pressure, to higher order metrics like hand movement, head movement, gaze aversion. If the client lets you, you'll want to pull from their digital life too, their message histories and email, their search histories, and online behavior. It's all potentially valuable. Then you compare the client's responses to relevant data from thousands of other clients and build a model of the client's psychological state. This approach has worked well so far. Eliza is still the best and most advanced version, but that's just my personal opinion. For those of you who don't know, I was the team lead and chief psychologist for the Eliza project at Skanda for a number of years.
Taking credit for all of it, I see.
Now, even though this is a proven approach, there are two weaknesses I'm going to highlight. One is the data I was just talking about. You're completely dependent on that.
Real-time input, syntactic, lexical analysis, mental state inference, response generation. Yes, I see you. Yep, I know. I hate it too, Jack. I hate it too, bud. It's terrible. I know. I know, it's so stressful. It's terrible. Oh my goodness gracious. He's trying to save me. He's trying to get me out of here.
Collect as much as you can, sure, but it's important to keep in mind that you can have all the data in the world and still not understand why things work the way they do.
Indeed.
And that's important for us to know, because if we have something that works, but we're not sure why, then what do we actually understand about ourselves? The crucial step after data is the model. The data needs to be used to validate a model. If you can't make a model, you're finished. If that sounds like basic, obvious science to you, it is. But I was surprised to find out just how many people from the tech sector don't think this way. I suppose you don't need to understand why something works in order to make it into a product and sell it. Obviously, though, if you had mastery of the underlying details, you'd be able to adjust the process and potentially make it work even better.
The audience is getting impatient. Clearly they're expecting something big.
One further note while I'm discussing modeling. Many of the startups trying to address mental health right now are completely ignoring the insights provided by the field of traditional psychology. They do so at their own peril. Many of you know already, but as a brief personal aside, I was a professor of psychology before I joined the tech world.
Cool. Me too.
I'm continually stunned at how little the tech heads know or even care about the hundreds of years of psychological research that has gone on in my field.
Can't say I totally disagree with that.
That's something I can talk about at length, perhaps another time. For now, I'll move on to the other weakness I mentioned. This is the real one, the big one. It's treatment. A system like Eliza can tell what's wrong with a client to a certain level of accuracy, but it doesn't quite know how to turn that into a comprehensive treatment plan.
No shit.
It can suggest therapeutic programs and activities, and soon it might even issue its own prescriptions without having to go through a doctor or a psychiatrist.
Ooh, no.
Well, as long as the FDA continues to look upon us favorably. But those are blunt instruments compared to what I'm going to talk about next.
Maybe this is it. Is he gonna go where I think he is? Oh boy.
Many of you know there's a technology still in its infancy called direct stimulation. For those of you who haven't heard of it, direct stimulation is a way of creating sensations within the brain with targeted electrical impulses.
Oh, this is so much worse than I thought. Real-time input, mental state inference, neurostimulator, extensions, cathodes, and oh god.
Imagine an augmented reality headset, but instead of working on your eyes, it stimulates the brain in such a way as to induce a specific dream. A spring meadow, for example. This sounds fantastical, I know, but progress on this technique has been occurring faster than you think. We're actually quite close to a workable demonstration model. How is that possible? Well, first of all, we only suggest an overall feeling. Your own brain does most of the work, just as it does in your dreams. It fills in all of the visual details using its own set of memories and expectations.
So this is what everyone came to hear.
Induced dreams via direct stimulation can contain all the therapeutic content of VR therapy without the need to create realistic graphics or other content.
Okay, but how are you going to ensure that that's lucid? How are you going to ensure that a person actually has that facilitated in a way where they're going to derive any kind of meaning from it? I have so many questions about this.
Instead, it harnesses the brain's creative power to dream up the situation for itself. Combine that with the insights we gain from parametric therapy systems like Eliza, and you have a complete end-to-end, fully automated system.
Spending too much time asking whether he could and not whether he should.
It should be clear now that this heralds a revolution in how we treat, how we think about mental health. And with mental health challenges on the rise across the globe, it couldn't come at a more crucial time. So, that's why today, right here, I'm announcing Aponia, a new company to make induced dreaming a reality and end human suffering as we know it.
Suffering is part of life. Bad things happen. People feel crappy sometimes. That's okay. That's okay. Learning how to manage it is important and good. Learning how to sit with the realities rather than just consistently looking to escape them. And all of this, I'm sure, is because we need everybody to be productive for the workforce.
I should note that I remain on good terms with Skanda. In fact, they're a minority investor in this new venture. But still, I'm very much going my own way on this. It's no secret that Raynor and I don't always agree, and that's why we mutually decided I should pursue this paradigm shift on my own. As for details on the venture itself, I don't have anything specific to announce at this time other than that the technology is real and working in prototype form already. But you can be sure to hear more from me on that soon. Thank you.
Man, I paid thousands of dollars for that. As Soren finishes up, people hold up their phones to take photos and video. This feels more like a press conference than a talk. Yeah, of course it does.
Now, I can take a very limited number of audience questions.
Okay. You better hope they're planted. Jack, do you have a question? Yeah? Would you like the microphone so that you can share your questions? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. The crowd starts to surge toward him. He's gonna be mobbed. My plan to find him after the talk is not gonna work. I need to get out of here. Lay down, bud. Thank you. There we go. Okay. Ugh. I don't know what I was thinking coming to this. Whatever my element is, this is not it. I should just get out of here before anybody recognizes me. Except, as I attempt to do that, I happen to spot another man I know. He emerges from an elevator in the lobby just as I walk by. I keep my head down. Maybe he won't see me. Surely he's busy and distracted, right?
Oh, look who's here. It's like I've seen a ghost.
Yao Ren, Rainer Sai. Oh god, it's Rainer. Chairman and CEO, Skanda Corporation. Oh boy.
Good to see you too, Rainer.
Where are you these days? I lost track after you left us.
I bought a ranch in Montana.
Nowhere.
Nowhere? Well, nowhere is no place to be. Come by the new office sometime. You should see where we're taking Eliza.
No, no thanks. I'm good. No thanks. I'm good.
Okay.
Good. Sarah will set something up for next week.
He glances at the person standing behind and to the side of him, presumably Sarah. She nods almost
See
imperceptibly.
you then.
I agreed before I could think about it. You did. You did. What's this all about? What does Rainer want with me? Look, if no was an option, this game wouldn't exist. Because I would just say no to everything and we just wouldn't play it. So, you know, part of the torture and part of the allure here is we gotta say yes to shit that we're gonna say no to. Oh, gotta love pushing the game narrative forward with bad decisions. We didn't interact much when I worked there. I didn't think he would even remember me. I've hardly done anything and it feels like a tangled mess already. He wants you to fix it, doesn't he? That's not a bad hypothesis. A lot of tech companies have become interested in mental health lately. It's a fast-growing field now, or maybe it's a gold rush. That's just what I was going to say. Gold rush. Capitalizing people's suffering is not an ideal thing. And the thing that I hate about this is that it really does perpetuate a stereotype about therapists, which is that therapists only do what they do because they want to make money. That therapists enjoy profiting off of people's misfortune and struggle. And that is not true. I would be more than happy to find another job if everybody in the world was at a point where they were no longer struggling and no longer needed therapists. I would be totally fine with that. I don't want people to suffer so that I can keep my job. Believe me, there are plenty of people out there. I mean, I have a wait list that I haven't tapped in a very long time because, like, there will always be people who are struggling for whatever reason and need help. So my goal is not to just make sure people keep suffering so that they can stay in therapy and I make more money. It's to try to work with folks to help them achieve whatever their goals are in whatever time frame that may be, whether it is weeks, months, or years, or decades. And be something that people find meaningful. When you have this kind of infiltration of that market, you have people trying to profit off of the fact that people are struggling and want to feel better. And you get slimy dudes like this who create all of these things that provide hope for people but don't actually address the systemic issues that are perpetuating the bad shit in the first place. Easy for super rich guy to be up here talking about this shit. Soren's talk is being rebroadcast here. Seems like he really made waves. Sure, that was his intent, so good for him. Andreas Chuck. Reminder, contractor parking. To all Seattle area contingent staff. Due to limited space, contractors, including Eliza proxies, are not issued Sconda parking passes. Do not attempt to park in Sconda lots without a pass. Your vehicle will be towed. Please find street parking around the area or use one of the many mass transit options available. We're aware that parking is an issue and are looking into securing additional parking at our Queen Anne and Bellevue locations, but currently there's no timetable for extra spaces becoming available. Apologies for the inconvenience. Ed Park, session structure, one more try. Valued proxies. I've continued to receive questions about how proxies should interpret and work with Eliza's counseling phases. Here's one more attempt at explaining it. Sessions are built around a 5-part structure. 1. Eliza begins with an introductory phase to build rapport and build a psychological state model of the client. Just talk about the weather. Listen actively during this phase, as clients are able to tell if the provider proxy is uninterested. Your performance should be smooth and natural. During the discovery phase, Eliza transitions to the topic of the client's problems and begin to introduce probing questions. Be attentive to the client and speak your lines in a clear but gentle manner. As the client answers questions, Eliza detects the client's rationalization and or explanatory strategies. Eliza will then challenge the client's assertions with the goal of inducing the client to reevaluate their current notions. So, obviously that's problematic because it operates on the assumption that it is the client's perceptions that are wrong. That what the client is bringing and the way that they're explaining their stuff is so narrow-minded and wrong that if we just ask a client to reevaluate their notions, it's immediately going to make everything better. So already this entire approach to an extent is adversarial to the client because it's believing that, again, the client is wrong. And that's not the space you want to occupy. There are certainly things that we want to challenge, that we want to help people see as being useful or not useful to achieving their goals, for sure. But you don't want to assume that the reason a client is having issues is because their current notions on things are wrong. In the intervention phase, Eliza selects one or multiple interventions from its toolkit of cognitive exercises, therapeutic applications, and recommendations for prescription medicine. At the session conclusion, the client is asked to rate the experience. The proxy provider receives the client feedback as well as performance-based incentives as determined by Eliza. Be cheerful during this phase so clients feel comfortable with the idea of returning to Eliza soon. Hope this helps, Ed. Conferences like this always make me nervous. I feel like everyone is looking at me, even though I know they're probably not. They're definitely not. Conferences like this are so annoying. They're like so masturbatory. It's just like, to me, they're insufferable. I hate going to professional conferences. Absolutely hate them. I've gone a couple times and it's like, I hate everything there. And oh God. I need to get out of here. Yes, you do. Time to head back to work. At least I don't have to think to do my job. All right, one more client. Okay. Take a little drink of water here. Gabriel Navarro. I hate that I don't even like get like a client file leading up to my meeting with him. Although I guess I don't need it because Eliza would need it. Oh, jeez. Hello, Gabriel.
Hello, Gabriel.
Hi.
Hope you didn't get rained on too much on your way here.
A little, but it was fine. I'm used to it.
Aren't we all in Seattle?
Most people here seem to get used to it, yes.
Yeah, they have to, don't they? Not much of a choice unless you move away.
Vegas, baby.
So, what brings you here today?
Well, I don't know where to start. I've never really done this kind of thing before, you know, counseling.
Oh, he's a Seahawks fan. Oh, that's kind of cool that they have that in there. Okay, so this is his first session. Ooh, all right. This is good.
That's okay. Start wherever you like.
It's not a bad way to open it up.
Well, I'm about to be a father. Yeah, my wife is due in a few months. Congratulations. That's what everyone says. Congratulations, congratulations. I get this tension, this restless feeling when people say that. It's like a curse or something. Congratulations.
Okay. So it's upsetting to hear that.
Sounds like you might be uncertain about that.
Maybe. I've tried to be a good husband, and I'm gonna do my best to be a good father too, but I don't know, there's something bothering me about... I'm balancing a lot of things right now. Work, family, expectations. Everyone has something they want from me. Everyone wants me to do this or that, behave a certain way. It's just annoying. Being a father, what if I don't want this?
Well, yeah. So there's not a lot I would say here. This would be a lot of me just kind of listening and hearing what he has to say. You know, what if I don't want this? Is that a rhetorical question, or is that a statement saying that you don't want this? Or are we more talking about uncertainty, that the closer you get to, I mean, because a lot of people, when they get closer to their child being born, they get nervous because the reality of it sets in. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what you're going to be like. You don't know how it's going to change your life. And that kind of big, giant change can certainly be something that people push against. It's totally understandable.
Why do you think you might not want this?
We all have things we don't talk about, things we would rather keep secret. Things that might upset our families if they knew about them.
Okay. So what's yours?
It's unfair. That's all I'm saying. It's unfair that we expect each other to be perfect when there's more going on.
Not sure I follow what you're saying. Can you be specific about how this is playing out for you?
I can't stand it when people act like they're pure, like they've never touched a bad thing in their whole lives. And then these people around me think they can tell me how to act, what I'm supposed to do, and I'm like, yo, don't you know you have your own shit to deal with? Why do you have to pick on me all the time? This whole fatherhood thing is just, you know what being a father is to me? It's about providing and protecting, taking responsibility. The world is dangerous, and sometimes the dangers can be hard to see. My duty is to protect. I'm gonna take that seriously. Everything I do, I take it seriously. So I don't get why people are worried about my ability to do that.
Ah, okay. Have people around you expressed to some degree of worry about whether you can do that? Or is this something that you're more worried that they're thinking about you? Because this could be one of two things. This could either be projection, again, where he is worried about his ability to be a good father and doesn't trust himself and then makes the assumption that other people share that. Or perhaps there are people in his life that have been expressing that they're not sure he's ready for fatherhood. Or both. So where is this coming from, Darren? Or Gabriel? Yeah, okay. It's another good question.
What makes you think people are worried about your ability to do that?
Because everyone thinks I'm trying to escape my responsibilities. Everyone is so quick to judge.
Everyone. Who is everyone?
Here's a story, okay? The other day, Selena, that's my wife, Selena and I were at a get-together. Her family, my family, a few families we both know, right? Grilling out on the back deck, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was more or less chill, right? But then late in the afternoon, the baby stuff starts coming up. Once one of them brings up babies, it's just all babies all the time. Babies, babies, babies. And because of my wife, they start saying, oh, giving birth is gonna hurt so bad. It might tear your skin. Just these kind of gross things. So I'm like, hey, quit it with that. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff. We're eating. There's kids around. Come on. And they're like, no, it's natural. It happens. Of course, we got to talk about all this terrible shit. How are you going to have another kid if you can't even handle the first one? And I just say, excuse me?
Yeah.
A second kid? Who even said we were going to have two? I didn't even want the one.
Oh, boy. There it is. This, my friends, is why you let people talk. Early beginning therapists have a tendency to insert themselves too much into the conversation rather than letting people talk. And if you provide a space where people feel comfortable to just continue via verbal nods and all that stuff, eventually, generally, people are going to get to where they want to go on their own. It's not always your responsibility to crack that nut open. So he says, I didn't even want the one. So this is a guy who's about to become a father who, for whatever reason, doesn't want to be a father. And we do not want to make any assumptions about the circumstances leading up to the pregnancy. As he's talking about this, his heart rate is going up, which is understandable.
Maybe that was a mistake, but I mean, I was angry. It made me angry.
What was a mistake?
It just got under my skin so bad, like I need to give my whole self over to this baby.
That is a common experience that a lot of parents have. And they believe they're supposed to just dump their entire life for their kids. You dump a very large percentage of your life for your kids. Absolutely. When you have a kid, it changes your life in ways you never in a million years would ever anticipate. That said, it is very responsible as a parent for you to maintain some of the things that contribute to your well-being. Keeping some hobbies, keeping some social circles, finding ways to get folks to take care of your child or babysit so you can go have date nights and stuff like that. You don't actually have to give your whole self over to your baby. You know, parents, good parents would say, I would jump in front of a train for my kid. I would give my whole self in that way. But giving your whole self on the day-to-day, your kids are going to feel that. Kids benefit immensely from being from having parents who are engaged and present and in a good headspace. And so if maintaining some hobbies or social groups or whatever is something that's going to contribute to your own mental well-being as a parent and make it easier for you to be present the way you need to be, then you should do those things. So you do not need to give your whole self over to the baby. You give a big, big, big chunk of it, but not the whole thing. So which part of you what part or parts of you, Gabriel, are you worried about handing over? Because what I'm hearing is that as this baby gets closer, you're thinking more and more about certain things you may have a sense you have to give up or diminish as a result of having this child, which is certainly true. But what are the ones that you're most worried about having to change or worried you're going to lose?
What about me? What about my time? It's a really important thing for me, my time. Well, I'm just supposed to give that up?
Again, not necessarily. You're going to have to give some of it up, but what type of time are you worried about?
I've already sacrificed a lot more than they can imagine. I give everything of myself away. Job, family, everyone wants me to be something for them until there's nothing left. But I can't talk about this stuff to anybody. They just say I'm being selfish.
Talking about your desire for self-care is not selfish. So that, right, is a piece of data. So they say I'm being selfish. So who specifically is telling you you're being selfish? Like, who carries enough weight in your life that when they say that to you, it matters?
It's like what I want just doesn't matter.
Here's a question, Gabriel.
This is a dumb direction to go.
If you were to have something you wanted right now, what would you choose?
Oh, I'd be far away from all this. Far away from everyone, just on my own for a while.
Okay. And when you're alone, what would you be hoping to accomplish while you're alone? Or what are the benefits to you having that space and time?
Yeah, I just want to be away.
And for how long? And who are you trying to get away from? Really? That's it?
Okay, Gabriel. I have some recommendations for you. First, I'm going to suggest you try a therapeutic virtual world experience called Starry Skies.
Are you kidding me? This guy doesn't need his mind taken off of things. This guy is dealing with real intrapsychic peril. I'm about to be responsible for another human that I'm not even sure I want. That is like so hard for people to wrestle with when it comes up for them. And it comes up for a lot of people. This comes up for people who want to have kids. Like, this isn't even just isolated to people who have kids and don't want them, or it was a mistake or whatever. Like, there are people who legitimately go into the process of trying to have children, and then as they go through the pregnancy or after the child arrives, they second guess the whole thing because of the way it turns their world upside down. And honestly, that is something that I really wish was more openly talked about amongst parents, because so many people feel alone in the experience that this guy is having. It can be so lonely to engage with the reality of your orientation to having a child. And it doesn't even mean necessarily that you shouldn't have had the child in the first place. Like, some of this is just like, you'll be a perfectly fine father and you'll find the meaning in it, and you're just experiencing something that is totally common for people to experience when they're going through this. It being common is not something that I tell you to make you feel better. It's just something that you should understand, that like that loneliness that you're experiencing with this is not something that is abnormal. It's not something where I look at it and think it needs to be pathologized. It's okay that you're wrestling with this. And if the reality is that you have a child on the way, yeah, you're going to have to work through some of this and have to engage in a level of acceptance that you ended up making a choice about, because kids don't just appear out of nowhere. You did make a choice to have sex with whoever it was that you had sex with in order to make this baby. Unless, of course, you did IVF or something like that, which is a hell of an expense if you didn't want kids. But the reality is, this guy deserves to have space held for him to fight through some of this and to really feel somebody's presence in that. That's the most important thing. There's not really an intervention here. The intervention here, which Eliza seems to fail to understand, is that the presence of a human to bounce this stuff off of and to have normalize it, or help him break away from the judgment that he's experiencing around this experience, is so much more important than anything else. And so the idea that he's like, I just want to get away from this, and I don't want to have to attend to this, or it's very overwhelming for me, that I'm going to put you in an atrium to stare at the stars and take your mind off of things. That is so stupid of an intervention that it like numbs my face thinking about it. Take my mind off of things. Take my mind off of the inevitable freight train that is going to hit me in 2 months. That's going to do nothing for him. We should have our mind on this. And we should have our mind on this in a constructive way that helps you put this together in a way that's going to be meaningful and have a long-lasting positive impact on you and your child. Not let's go just stare at the stars for a little bit and just ignore the reality. That's not a useful intervention, even in the slightest. And if I'm him, I'm so pissed that this is where this is going.
It may help you take your mind off things.
Right. Because and the what I hate about this so much is that the implication in this is that his mind being on it is the problem. Like when you are a therapist and you provide certain levels of like intervention or homework or statements, or if you're a friend who's supporting another friend, like the way that you say stuff like this, there is an implication that sits behind it. And so if you say it may help take your mind off of things, what I have just said to him is the fact that you're thinking about this is the problem, dude. Stop spinning yourself in circles. Just relax. Just stare at the stars a little bit, dude. And maybe pop a couple Xanax.
Try it for about 15 minutes each day, in the morning or evening. Second, I recommend asking your doctor or psychiatrist about Anexafen. Based on my analysis, this medication might help you feel better.
Notice how he's not saying anything to me.
You will get a reminder to check in with us in a few weeks.
That's it, huh?
Amen, brother.
You can't just tell me what to do to solve this? Some help you turned out to be.
Yep. Amen, brother.
Guess I'll have to figure things out for myself.
Indeed, because this is not the place.
Exactly like before.
Yep. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
We hope to see you back soon.
Oh.
Thank you for speaking with Eliza, your personal counseling partner. Goodbye.
Go Hawks. Oh. Yep. Absolutely. All right, now let's see what happens because I got a 2. Cosmopolitan? And he still tipped $5. What are we? Oh God, that wasn't a very good rating. No, it was not. He was so close to. No, you can't blame him for that. Oh God, he was so closed off. It's because you didn't provide an opportunity for him to open up. People don't just. You're not entitled to people just opening up. People don't owe you vulnerability. You gotta earn that shit. You have to recognize the way in which your presence facilitates people feeling more comfortable opening up to you. Holy crap. Maybe he tipped to recognize it's not Evelyn's fault this session was shit. That would be very cool of him if you recognize, like, I feel bad for you because you just had to read this stupid ass prompt that didn't help me at all. Oh God. Thanks for coming to my talk. Oh boy. You saw me? Saw you come in for a bit and leave before questions. Don't blame you. You caught the important parts anyway. Pretty interesting, huh? It was nice to see you. Been, what, 2 years? What are you wearing? Where are you? You want to go get coffee? It's so cool. Like, dude, chill out. Longer. How do you think I did? Haven't done a talk in a while. You're trying something wild. Yeah. Want to get dinner tonight? There's more to talk about. Details I couldn't share in public. No. Come on. This is strictly professional. No need to worry. See you soon. Dude, the self-awareness in that is gross. Like, I mean, thank God he's self-aware, but also, like, yikes. This dude knows. This dude knows that he has either been a problem in the past or that there's like a mixture of issues such that he has to dictate that this is strictly professional. So no need to, it should be so blatantly obvious that it's professional because he's been upholding a standard of professionalism. Like the fact that he has to say that, nah, bruh. People have all kinds of problems I couldn't have imagined. Was I rash to believe I could help people without knowing who they were? You're not actually... See, this is the conflation here. Evelyn, you're not helping anybody. Eliza is technically doing it. Like, this isn't even about Evelyn. But because Evelyn is the one that has to sit there and interface with people, she's the one starting to believe that she's responsible for this. Like, the reality is, like, if you wanted to be successful in this position, you really would have to turn your brain off and just let Eliza do its thing. And recognize that, like, you really are just that. You are just a warm body. Oh my God. I wonder if that painting is supposed to symbolize something. Technology and feelings combining together? Maybe. Nah, I'm overanalyzing it. Isn't that what art's for? Overanalysis? Oh, Jesus. I just have to keep going. Yeah, just keep going. We will welcome Maya back in part 3. Friends, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this complex playthrough. I hope you are enjoying what we're bringing to the table here. I mean, it's serious. Like this is like I don't even know what to make of this. This is the most unique playthrough that we're probably ever gonna have. Like this is like on Soma levels of just being this like small game that's facilitating just a ridiculous conversation. So I'm so glad that you're following through with this. I hope you'll continue to watch this as hard as it may be. Thank you so much for your support. Please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the playthrough so far. Follow the links in the description. Come hang out with us live. Endure the pain directly with me and us. Oh my goodness gracious. I appreciate you. Seriously, thank you for giving me a shot and following my playthroughs. I hope you watch the other ones too. If you're binging this, we'll see you with Maya in part 3. If you're waiting for the next one to come out, I'll get it out as soon as I can. Matter, I appreciate you. See you in the next one.